Hello and welcome to the Sands of Time review channel. It's your host Sammy Thunder. Again, I've come here with another acquisition, and this is a very special watch to me. As you can probably tell, it's a 55th anniversary Seiko watch, and it features the iconic dolphin logo that you also see in the case back. It is a high-end Seiko diver, being the 62 MAS, which is specifically this one here is the SLA043. So kind of what I want to do is give you a bit of an initial impressions and an unboxing experience, and kind of my thoughts on the watch now that I've had it for a day. Just a little bit of background history that I've learned and gathered from other YouTubers on the 62 MAS. The 62 stands for the first two numbers in the mechanical movement that was used on this watch. The MA actually stands for automatic, and the S stands for self-data. So a little bit of background history there. And let's go ahead with the unboxing. So it comes in this nice kind of shoebox kind of packaging, and you get an additional strap with the watch as well. So it comes in this nice box, and you do get a blue strap. But let's first dig into this watch here. I'll kind of move this box out of the way so we can actually dig in and have a look at the iconic 62 MAS. So this is the watch here with me right now, and it's a very beautiful watch, and you can probably tell just by your initial impression yourself in this video is that the metal itself is very bright. So the steel used is actually a proprietary Seiko steel known as Ever Brilliant steel, and it's said to be much more corrosion resistant compared to the Rolex Oyster steel and also the Ball 904L stainless steel. So in terms of your performance there for a diver, it's ticking a lot of boxes and features that you get on very high-end watches, especially from Rolex. But the main thing about this metal is that it's much lighter, and it gives a nice luster. So it kind of reminds me of a white goldish appearance, or a silvery appearance. And I've seen the Tudor black base silver myself, and it's very similar to this. It's a very shiny case, and I really want the silver as well if I can one day. A very beautiful watch. But along with the 62 MAS that I have here, being the SLA043, again a commemoration to the 55th anniversary of that watch, and a little bit of specifications out of the way. The thickness of this watch is 14.1 mils thick, and I'll speak to that. I actually think this is a very well designed diver, and it feels like a 12 mil thick watch instead of a 14 mil thick watch. The water resistance, as stated in the dial as well, is 200 meters. This is the first from Seiko, being a sub 40 mil diver. This is kind of new from Seiko to actually make it. One of their smaller proportion divers, and the 62 MAS was, it's one of the first watches to do so. And, even from Grand Seiko as well. So from Grand Seiko and Seiko, this is a terrific example of a very wearable diver. And it features a length of around 47.9, so a lug-to-lug distance of 47.9 mils. So it's very wearable, really. And because this case, the side flank of this case here, you can probably tell that it kind of tapers downwards, so it kind of hugs the wrist as well. So this is very wearable on smaller wrists. It features the 8L35 mechanical movement, which is derived from the 9S55 or 9S65 mechanical movement from Grand Seiko. However, with a little bit of tweaking, with a shorter power reserve. So it's essentially the same base architecture, same movement with some modified parts. One thing with Seiko, and one thing I've experienced, and one of the major downfalls I'd say, is that the accuracy specification for this watch or tolerance is plus 15 to minus 10 seconds per day. So that's what their quoted accuracy is, and from my 18 hours of owning this watch, I've experienced a deviation of around 6 to 7 seconds already. it meets the specification, but for a retail price of 7,000 Australian dollars, I believe all watches should have some form of regulation, and it's pretty, I'm pretty bummed out that Seiko doesn't do it, but at the same time, it's to be expected when you do buy one. So I just want to make that clear to everyone when you get this watch. What you get here is sapphire crystal, very nice bezel action, crisp. It's like a Seiko bezel action, except it's not mushy. It's crisp and refined. Features a ceramic bezel insert, which is nice, and the bezel I think is fully aligned. Maybe my eyes play tricks with me, and especially with that distorted crystal, sometimes you can start to think that, oh, is my watch aligned, and your eyes kind of play tricks with you, but I believe this is a fully aligned bezel, which is good. Features a signed crown, which is very nice from Seiko, and I noticed some of the newer SLA series don't have one. It's not a deal breaker, but at the same time it's very nice to have Seiko written on the crown itself. The case back here features the vintage dolphin, which you would get from the original 62 MAS, and you can see that this is limited to 1,700 pieces, and I've got number 1395. Doesn't really mean much what the number is, but I'm happy. I've got this watch. Now, why did I purchase this watch? And I thought it was criminal for me to not purchase this watch. Firstly, I love the 62 MAS design. The 62 MAS is an iconic diver, has a unique look to the case. The finishing on this watch is excellent. You can see the brushing on the ever brilliant steel. You can see those grooves. You can see the brushing that's being done. It's done to perfection. It's beautiful. I love looking at the case, and I love seeing the luster. You can see, just from this case profile itself, is you have the bezel ring here, and it's a narrowed bezel ring, and just below that you have a rim there. That's a fully Zaratsu polished rim, so they haven't skimped on anything. You can see it's distortionless, and it kind of brings a very high-end feel to the watch. And then the mid case, you have that sloped down 62 MAS typical brushed case, and then below you have the case back itself. So this watch actually wears very thin, and you can probably tell by this case profile that it will. You then have that slightly boxed sapphire crystal. It's actually very boxed in the inside, and you can see here clearly from the dome that this watch here plays with distortions a lot. There's a lot of thought put into the watch, so you can see on the sides how the indices kind of blend into the glass, which is very nice. Another cool touch to it is you can probably see the rehord inside. It's all polished, fully polished, and you can see that it's actually reflecting those indices if you look and pay a little bit of attention, and that's excellent attention to detail. And sometimes I play a game where I try to find myself in that ring itself. It's beautiful, sublime, high quality, and it's a very nice touch. The dial itself is Grand Seiko quality. You are getting quintessential Grand Seiko finishing. There's no dust under the macro, which is very nice, and just the entire package of this watch is beautiful. You also got that ice blue seconds hand. This is actually different to the Campari Light second hand that's used on the Ginza limited edition for the Alpinist. So it's not the same thing. This is actually a completely different ice blue color. So these are kind of my initial thoughts, and these are some reasons why I've purchased this watch, because it's feature packed. It's an iconic watch with very, very strong history from Seiko from 1881. Especially being the first diver watch from Seiko, beautiful. And I had the choice of purchasing watches from the competition, so I purchased this watch at a discount. You can say at approximately 35% off, and it was cheaper than a Black Bay 58 on the strap. And I was actually called for a Black Bay 58, and I was called in Sydney, and I live in Melbourne, and there's authorised dealers for them in Melbourne as well, but they wanted me to be at the dealership in Sydney. They were not able to deliver the watch or even send it to the Melbourne store so I can pay for it, on my, in front of them. So I figured it's probably not worth me just traveling, spending extra money for the Tudor Black Bay 58. I didn't see that worth it. So said no to that. I had options of going with other competition, such as the Breitling Super Ocean Heritage 2, but I felt like the actual case finishing is nothing special, and I really love a good case. The Omega Seamaster Professional 300 is a watch I really like, and also the Seamaster 300. But at the end of the day, I went with this. I felt like it was almost criminal to not get this watch. That's one reason. The second reason is I love the design of this watch. I love everything about it. The finishing, the brushing on the case is amazing. The side profile, the strap it comes on, the wearability. So I'll kind of do a quick wrist shot as well. So that's kind of why I purchased this watch. I purchased it over a Black Bay. I honestly thought, this was the better watch, despite my love for the Black Bay. And maybe one day I will own the Black Bay eventually. But this is the 62 MAS on my 7.1 inch wrist. It fits beautifully. And I'll kind of do a bit of a wrist roll. So this strap here is high strength silicone, stated from Seiko. And I love kind of playing with this, kind of honeycomb texture or pyramid-like texture. The hardware is very good quality, and a little bit of a wrist roll there. And you can probably see just the side profile. I mentioned that this was a 14.1mm thick diver, but if I didn't tell you the thickness, what would you guess the thickness of this watch would be, or watch to be? Because this does not feel like 14.1mm thick. This feels like it's a 11mm or 12mm diver. And you have the beautiful sapphire crystal with their very high-end anti-reflective coating, and the ceramic bezel there as well. And there we go, we have that beautiful marine blue dial, and that's kind of a wrist shot there. So I'll do a proper detailed review where I throw in some macro shots. I have seen the watch under the macro, and there's absolutely no flaw, no dust, no scrapes or anything like that. It's quintessential Grand Seiko. So everything's fine with that, but man, this watch is beautiful. The brushing on the case, the dial. I am actually very speechless, to be honest. I think it's almost criminal that this is still available, and I'm very happy because it's a hidden gem. It's a hidden gem of a watch that I'm able to get. And honestly, with the snobby comments being, you can get a Swiss watch at the price, you can buy a Grand Seiko instead, you need to do some more research, actually pick up the watch in hand, understand why it's costing that much, contemplate. But at the end of the day, whatever reason you have, that's your reasoning. But I think people, this is a very sleeper watch. It's beautiful, and I like it. So I think that's it from myself. Just an initial impressions of the watch. Thanks for watching. If you can, please subscribe to the channel. It helps. I want to grow as a YouTuber, so I'm gonna, be dishing out some more watch content. Let me know if there's anything I can improve on. But this is the sands of time. Exiting. Thanks for watching.